Franklin County Board of County Commissioners now in session for this regular meeting Tuesday, April 18th. It's good to see everyone here this morning. Before we get started, I do have a couple of things I want to, housekeeping. Commissioner Lockley's not here with us today. He had a sister pass last week. They're in the middle of doing that. Commissioner Amoson's going to be leaving later in the meeting. He has a doctor's appointment. So we are going to try to move things along as well as we can this morning to handle the people's business while we have the most of us here. And additionally, I would like to just put out there so people know, seems to be some confusion. This afternoon, we're having a workshop about golf carts on Alligator Point. There is no vote ever taken at a workshop. We are, trying to get to the place where we can make it work for everybody. So I just want to make the public aware as we get started this morning that that's what we're doing. It is a workshop today. Now, we good with all public input during a workshop, but that's what it is this afternoon, just to make sure everybody's aware. And also we want to remember when we go to prayer here in a minute, Attorney Schuler had a passing in his family yesterday, or this weekend, so we'll remember that as well. Commissioner Ward, will you lead us in prayer and pledge today?
Lord, we come to you today as we conduct our county business. We pray that you will guide our decision makings and help us decide and for the best of the people that we serve. We also pray, keep Commissioner Noah Lockley's family in our prayers as his sisters pass. We pray for Attorney Schuler and his family as his beloved aunt has passed, and anybody else in the community, Lord, that needs prayers and reached out to in your touch. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, so our first action item this morning is approval of minutes and payment of county bills.
So move.
Have a motion to approve by Commissioner Ward, second by Commissioner Amoson. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? That's unanimous. Now we're in public comments. The only one I have, Michael, is for Mr. Steve Kirsenbaum.
Yes, Steve.
Yep.
I apologize. The other public comment is for during the public hearing, I believe. And that one, that speaker card is not necessary, but
Okay.
we have it anyway.
You come, I didn't see you when I called your name, I'm sorry.
How you doing, sir?
Good,
No,
good, go ahead, please.
It's kind of a last-minute thing, but I want to thank you all for the first meeting of the airport board, and I wanted to thank you for the appointment and the opportunity to serve the county. And it's been a long time coming, having this board come together. And, it all started with my U-Haul franchise in East Point, watching young families leaving the county for jobs. And now we have an opportunity with a great group of people appointed by this commission to help bring jobs and prosperity to the county. And I thank you so much for giving the opportunity to chair this committee.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Bye.
So, Michael, you said Miss Christie has hers filled out though for the public hearing, which are not really required, correct?
Correct. Am I correct, Attorney?
Erring on the side of caution.
Oh, that's fine,
Okay.
but there's nothing you
That
want to
works
speak
fine.
about now is what I'm trying to make sure, Ms. Banks.
And
Okay.
let me for the sake of
Yeah,
good.
check and make sure, please.
Sake of the good. None emailed to me either, sir. So we're good to proceed.
Okay. All right, so up next is Ms. Sarah Coranta from the Department of Health, giving us an update today.
Thank you. Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
My name is Sarah Caranta, and I serve as the Health Officer for the Florida Department of Health in Franklin and Gulf. And I just want to thank you for the opportunity to be here today and for your leadership. In public health, we are so proud of the work that we do and the many projects that we're involved in, but it's really all thanks to the amazing partnerships that we have, and that includes this board and all of Franklin County government. So DT Simmons, she's our operations manager. She's the guru of all things public health. She's going to highlight some partnership-focused projects that we have going on in the month of April. So I'll hand it over to her.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Before I talk about our upcoming community health assessment, I would like to take just one moment to thank the board and our clerk of court, Michelle Maxwell, for allowing us to plant pinwheels on the front lawn of the courthouse. For those of you who may be unfamiliar, April is National Child Abuse Prevention Month. And so we like to join in with our partners all around the state to plant pinwheel gardens. And the pinwheel itself is a symbol of child abuse prevention. And also it helps to remind us that every child has a right to a healthy, nurturing, supportive childhood. So on behalf of the health department, I want to thank you for your participation in that. The second thing I would like to do is tell you about our community health assessment. So you may have heard us use the term CHA, which is just an acronym for Community Health Assessment over the years. Every 3 to 5 years, every county, all 67 of us, are tasked with coming up with an assessment of the overall county's health profile. And we opt to do ours every 3 years, and it's that time again. So I would like to officially invite you all to our prioritization workshop, which will be held next week. So when this process initially began, which maybe almost a year ago, it's quite a process. We came together with different partners, be they private, be they business sector, be they varying agencies, county government. We all come together and we started this process. We surveyed community members, we analyzed hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of data points, and we already conducted an initial prioritization assessment. At this meeting that we're holding next week, what we're going to do is take that prioritization assessment a little bit further. In this process, we look at what are our issues? What does our community think is important? Now, what resources do we have to approach them? How feasible are they? What can we do in our lifetime? We come together and we really dig deep into creating our priorities that will set the course of our work, our strategic planning for the next 3 years. And so it's a really big job, and everybody's voice is important. We don't just want you to have a seat at the table, we want you to have a voice at the table as well. So I just wanted to officially invite you. That meeting is next Tuesday, April the 25th, and it's at 10 a.m. at the Health Department. This is our first big Community Health Improvement Partnership meeting back into the Health Department since COVID began 3 years ago. So we really want to make it a really big meeting, and we really want to hear everyone's voice. So thank you, and we look forward to seeing you all there. Take care.
Thank you, Ms. Simmons. Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you were done.
I
Go ahead.
was, but if there are questions.
Yeah. Any questions, commissioners?
Mr. Chairman, just thank y'all for everything you do for our community. Thanks.
All right, Mr. Ben Chandler for ARPC.
Mr. Chairman, I'm not seeing Ben yet,
Is he
so.
attending by Zoom or is he attending
No,
live?
they told me he was attending live. Let
Okay,
me-
so we'll have to come back to
Let me
that,
check.
sir.
That's only Evan Thomas on there, so,
Yeah,
yeah, we'll come back, we'll come back to Ben. Maybe he got caught in traffic coming from Tallahassee this morning,
okay.
so.
All right, so let's, Ms. Banks, are we ready to move on to the Planning and Zoning Adjustment Board report?
Share screen.
And while she's doing that, I will remind the commissioners, so all these actions, although there are multiple in each one, we can do them in one motion, or we can separate them however y'all want to do it. For each of the different subheadings.
Good.
Nice and big, okay. All right, good morning. First, I have to start off with some critical shoreline applications. The first one is for 2816 East Highway 98. It's in consideration of a request to construct a 1,284 square foot single-family dock that consists of a 4x289 access walkway, an 8x20 terminus, and a 10x10 boat slip located at 2816 Highway 98 East. Lanark Village. The application was submitted by Jacob Schwartz, who is also the applicant. Let me pull up this one. I try to put my little notes in there now so you guys know what's going on. The applicant has adequate land to build the future home. The proposed meets the repair and setback requirements. They do have their DEP permit, and they do not have to obtain a corpse because the DEP covers all of that. And it is an uncovered boat slip, and staff and the board did recommend approval for this.
Okay. So Commissioners, do you want to consider these two together or separate motions?
I'm just doing them together.
Together? Okay.
Go ahead and read the second one, please.
The second one is the 2186, incidentally, it's so weird. East Highway 98, consideration of request to construct a 997 square foot single-family dock that consists of a 4x220 access walkway, a 10x18 terminus, and two 10x10 uncovered boat slips located at 2186 East Highway 98, Lanark Village, with the applicant, John Chasen. His also meet the repair and setback requirements, and his also had a DEP permit with no corpse permit required, and staff did recommend approval for this one as well.
Okay.
Make a motion to approve, Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Sanders, second by Commissioner Amison. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? That's unanimous, 4-0.
Okay, thank you. Next, I have two commercial site plan reviews. The first one is for 383 Highway 98. It's a consideration for a request to construct an 18x20 carport located at 383 Highway 98 East Point. This is zone C1 for commercial fishing, and the request was submitted by Pace 2 LLC, who is the applicant. The applicant requested, has submitted a letter from the property owner, and the property owner is okay with them requesting for the carport to be placed on the property. They meet all the parking requirements and everything for their proposed, and the board did motion to approve.
Okay. Please read the next one, Ms. Courtney.
Okay, the next one is 446 Highway 98 East. It is consideration for commercial site plan review for a 30x46 pole barn structure located at 446 Highway 98 East. East Point is also zone C1 commercial fishing, and this was submitted by Bruce Millender with East Point Lands. He met with staff, and there's an old foundation on the property, so he has the understanding that he cannot build on the old foundation in its entirety as it encroaches on the county right-of-way. He does meet his parking requirements. He will have to meet flood requirements of the VE flood zone. And the board did request for approval. One of the board members, Rachel Chestnut, did have to abstain for voting because she had a voting conflict, but it was a 6-0 vote.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve both.
Okay, we have a motion to approve by Commissioner Ward,
I'll second.
second by Commissioner Amison. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? That's unanimous, 4-0.
Okay. Next, I have two rezoning and just rezoning change applications. The first one is for 139 East Gulf Beach Drive. Both of them are actually right beside each other. The other one is 135 East Gulf Beach Drive. They're just requesting a public hearing to rezone that parcel from C2 to C4. And both of those applications were submitted by John Shelby, agent for Robert Heidi, who is the applicant. On both, the boards did motion for approval to move this for a public hearing.
But they're both the same owner, and they're just at 139 East Gulf
Yes,
Beach and
they're
135.
two separate parcels, so they have to be submitted separately.
Okay. I'd entertain a motion for both at the same time for a public hearing.
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Ward,
Second.
second by Commissioner Sanders. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? That's unanimous. 4-0. That's it for now, right?
Well, I really don't want to jinx us in any way.
No.
Yeah.
So Mr. Chandler's still not here, so I guess we can go on to the RFQ. Is
With
it,
RFQs,
is that
and
time
then,
sensitive?
and then we'll go straight to Aaron's
Okay.
report.
Yep. Mr. Merle, do you have a pen or some pens?
There you go, sir. I'll take that one, thank you.
Okay, Commissioners, today. Okay, today we are opening sealed bids for the Womack Creek Bridge culvert repair. This project consists of the repair of bridge number 494035. The scope of the work includes the construction of new head walls, lining of the existing culvert pipe, guardrail installation, and miscellaneous asphalt work. Okay, and the first bid is from North Florida Construction of Clarksville, Florida. Total base bid, $1,641,400. Again, $1,641,400. Now let's look for the bid bond. Bid bond is included. Okay. The next one is R.J. Gorman Contracting LLC from Panama City, Florida. $1,861,400.90. $1,861,400.90. And let's check for bid bond. And bid bond is included. Okay. And last one is, let's see, Marshall Brothers Construction and Engineering. And that is from Panama City, Florida. $2,300,588. $2,300,588. And the bid bond is included.
Ms. Griffin, are they rebuilding the bridge, or what are they doing here?
This is a culvert
I
repair.
understood it wasn't the whole bridge.
It's not the whole
Okay.
bridge.
You'd think it was.
Sorry,
And I believe it's based on an inspection report from FDOT
Okay.
about the bridge
Yeah.
that, the road department
Yes.
received, that they then,
Not bad at
Mark
all.
then turned into a request.
But it's not a
Bid.
bridge, it's a culvert.
That's correct, yeah. I believe that's above our grant award value as well, so we're going to have to talk to FDOT about that.
So who's our review committee for
So
this?
the motion will be to send it to the engineers for their review.
Okay,
So moved.
all right. Motion to approve sending this to the engineer to review it for us by Commissioner Sanders, seconded by Commissioner Amison. Any discussion further? Sorry, I wasn't trying to get us off track, but, jeez. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? That's unanimous. Ms. Griffith, do you want us to go ahead and start on your report?
Yep, we can do that. All right, Commissioners, item number one, in June of last year, Franklin County submitted a $175,000 grant application to conduct a vulnerability assessment through the Resilient Florida program. This program provides funding for counties, municipalities, water management districts, flood control districts, and regional resilience entities to effectively address the impacts of flooding and sea level rise on critical government infrastructure and vulnerable residents. A countywide vulnerability assessment is required before any design and construction grant funding can be awarded through the program. At this time, we are still waiting for the grant award agreement for the program, but the funding notification has been published, and the state's grant manager has given authorization for the county to proceed with getting a contract in place to conduct the study.
The Appalachia Regional Planning Council has already completed some vulnerability assessments for small segments of the community, and as they are a government support entity, we are asking for a task order from them to complete the countywide assessment. Board action to approve and authorize the chairman to sign the attached agreement with the Appalachia Regional Planning Council to complete the countywide vulnerability assessment.
Pleasure of the board.
So moved.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Sanders,
Second.
second by Commissioner Ward. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous.
Okay, Commissioners, item number 2, the landfill scale house replacement is complete, and now the scale system installer is on site. As the new scale house and scales have shifted slightly forward and sit a little higher off the ground, there is a steep transition at the edge of the scales. While the scales are being installed, the vendor is recommending the addition of approximately 240 feet of 6-inch concrete curbing to keep trucks and trailers within the area of the scales as an additional safety improvement for customers crossing the scales and the scale house operator. The additional curbing work will cost $14,875 and can be paid from the landfill tipping fee fund. Sample photos of similar curbing are pasted below. And I do have 2 action items. Item number A, board action to approve the attached quote for the additional concrete curbing as a safety enhancement for the replacement of the landfill scales. And action item B, board action to authorize the removal of the old scales from the late 1980s from the landfill's equipment inventory, which are being disassembled and removed by the installer.
Okay, Ms. Griffin, we're within our policies to do this, correct?
Correct.
14.8, okay.
Yeah. As they are on site, it would actually just be a change order for the
Okay,
existing
that's what I
version.
wanted to hear. Thank you. So, pleasure of the board for action item A.
So move.
I have a motion to approve by Commissioner Ward,
Second.
second by Commissioner Sanders. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? That's unanimous. Action item B.
Make a motion to approve.
All right, motion to approve by Commissioner Sanders,
Second.
second by Commissioner Ward. Any discussion, Commissioners? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? That's unanimous. Please proceed.
Okay, item number 3, the county has submitted a community funding request through Congressman Neil Dunn's office for construction funds for the Lanark Village EMS station to keep the project on track, as it is a necessary upgrade for the ambulance services for a permanent building to replace a rented location. A comprehensive site survey has been ordered, and staff requested a task order from County Engineers Dewberry for the civil site design and permitting work for the planned 2,600 square foot modular EMS building. Board action to approve the attached $16,800 task order with Dewberry Engineers for the civil site design and permitting of the Lanark EMS station to be paid by the Healthcare Trust Fund.
Okay, board action.
Yep.
You wanna do motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Sanders,
Second.
second by Commissioner Ward, Commissioner Amison. Any discussion?
I just want to thank Commissioners, I appreciate the support on this. This has been long coming right here, and maybe this will alleviate some of the problems and the times that it takes to respond to some of our emergencies on the eastern end of the county.
I've got a question.
Yes.
Does this come out of the outlay side, or does that come out of the operation side of the trust fund?
Probably the capital side, I would
Would be the
imagine.
capital
Talking
side,
about
yeah.
building. Yeah.
Just
Yes, sir.
for clarity.
Yes, sir.
And
Any
that
other-
was, Mr. Chairman, that was part of the referendum that people voted on, was for the
Yes, sir.
EMS services as well.
Mm,
Yeah, I
that's
just want to
correct.
make a note for that
Yeah.
for the record.
Any additional discussion, Commissioners? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous.
Okay. Item number 4, attached is a request from the Panhandle Players for their purchase of theater seating to run through the county, whereas the county will qualify for a 40% reduction in price due to Sourcewell contract pricing. The hard seats at Chapman Auditorium will be replaced with comfortable theater-style seats. Chapman Auditorium is owned and maintained by Franklin County, and the location is leased to the Panhandle Players. Board action to accept the funding contribution for the new seats from the Panhandle Players and authorize the issuance of a county purchase order for the new seating.
And just for the record, Mr. Chairman, Aaron, this is being funded not by the county.
Correct.
Panhandle Players are graciously
Correct.
supplying these. So this is no money coming out of any of our budgets or anything. So I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve by Commissioner Ward, second by Commissioner Sanders. I think the bigger thing is they're allowed to have a reduction in price by the fact that the county's doing the purchasing.
Yep. Yep. And they will be installed in a county-owned location, so they will in turn, be
And
county
those-
assets after that.
Mr. Chairman, those chairs have been in there since, I mean, they've never been replaced before, right?
think so.
You know, a lot of people sit in those chairs.
Any more discussion before we vote? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? That's unanimous.
Okay, Commissioners, next item. As part of the American Rescue Plan, Franklin County was eligible to receive Local Assistance and Tribal Consistency Funds, LATCF, from the U.S. Treasury. The county received the first allocation of two in December of $113,200.44 after applying for the funds. These funds are non-recurring revenues which can be used in a variety of ways for governmental infrastructure and operations. As this revenue can be used to fund capital improvements and repairs which would not be eligible through various grant programs, a list of needed repairs and refurbishments are summarized below as part of the proposed draft spending plan. We have repairs and roof replacement of the old Carabel Annex, in which Parks and Recreation will use as storage. Project cost of $55,000. We also have playground refurbishment at D.W. Wilson Park and other repairs, $29,754.72. We also have playground refurbishment at Kendrick Park for $22,492.66. We also have playground refurbishment at Vrooman Park. Now that is pending the DEO grant amendment. So we hope by the next meeting that we will actually get formal approval on that amendment request, and then we can actually move those funds around. But for right now, I wanted to make sure that, regardless either way, that would be funded. $53,542.53, and roof replacement for the Carabel Health Department at $65,610.97. Board action to approve the draft spending plan above for the LATCF program.
So move.
We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Ward,
Second.
second by Commissioner Sanders. Any discussion?
Just one question.
Yes.
Aaron, on Kendrick Park, now is that the refurbishment of the handicap playground and the regular playground there?
It is. That was actually the vendor meeting that we had with Game Time and NSP, several months back, where we actually visited all the playgrounds in the county. They actually did a full inventory, and it was all of the repairs that they had noted that were needed.
Because I know I've gotten a couple of complaints from the handicap.
Yeah, it should take care of it.
And that is utilized a lot out there, so thank you for that.
Any additional discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? That's unanimous.
Okay, Commissioners, next item number 6. At the February 21st meeting, the board authorized requesting a task order from architect Doug Schuler of BFBS to develop the technical specifications and bid documents for the re-roof and rot repair work at the old Carabel Annex location to be used as viable storage for Parks and Recreation. This task order will be paid by the LATCF program funds allocated above for the old Carabel Annex project. Board action to approve and authorize the chairman to sign the attached task order with BFBS Architects to develop the specifications and bid documents for the old Carabel Annex building.
So moved.
We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Sanders, a second by Commissioner Amison. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous.
Next item, as discussed at the first meeting in March and after inspections of the county's existing playgrounds, Game Time and NSP have submitted the requested estimates for repair and refurbishment of Vrooman Park and East Point, D.W. Wilson Park in Apalachicola, and Kendrick Park in Carabel. Game Time can provide the replacement parts and pieces needed for the repair based upon contract pricing through Omnia. NSP is a sole source service provider specializing in the refurbishment, repair, and replacement of playground parts. The attached quotes will replace damaged components, professionally remove rust, and do necessary safety upgrades as needed at the park locations. As Vrooman Park's large-scale refurbishment may qualify for funding through an amendment with the Hurricane Michael Assistance Grant, we are just holding space in the LATCF program for that refurbishment until the county receives the formal response, which we mentioned earlier. Once the county's playgrounds are brought up to good condition, NSP will be able to add the locations for annual inspections and routine maintenance. Board action to waive the county bid policy and acknowledge NSP as a sole source service provider of playground maintenance and refurbishment services, and accept the attached quotes from NSP for the repair and refurbishment work at D.W. Wilson Park and Kendrick Park. And then I also have a second action item, board action to accept the quotes from Game Time based on Omnia contract pricing for the equipment components needed for the repair and refurbishment of the playgrounds at D.W. Wilson Park and Kendrick Park.
Ms. Aaron, these need to be done in separate motions or together?
Actually separate,
Okay,
be preferred.
So moved.
all right. So we have a motion to approve on the first item by Commissioner Sanders,
Second.
second by Commissioner Ward. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? That's a 4-0 vote. And on the second item,
So move with question.
okay, we have a motion to approve by Commissioner Ward,
Second.
second by Commissioner Sanders. Commissioner Ward, please proceed.
So Aaron, this is, Mr. Chairman, in the past, nobody's ever maintained our playground equipment. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. So I know just by me going to Vrooman Park, you know, I see bolts that are loose and things of that nature. In our saltwater environment, this is actually, I think, beneficial because it's going to maintain the equipment, so we're not having to replace it every X amount of years.
That's correct, and actually, a lot of the quotes are going to include, actually the, grinding off the rust and actually putting a new coat of paint on, and, for one, have you all ever noticed, the way that, like a barge, like the texture of the paint on a barge or some sort of marine vessel? It will be the same type of coating, which will go on the playground equipment, so, it will look a little different, just be a little kind of a bubbled finish, however, it is resistant to salt corrosion.
Okay. Thank you.
Good. Any more discussion before we vote? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? That's unanimous.
And I do have a few project updates for you all. The lighting replacement at Vrooman Park and East Point, that they are on schedule. They're supposed to be there, I believe May 26th. They're going to be on site, so that'll be a big improvement. And then also the playground installation on St. George Island. They're supposed to be, the installer will be here May 15th. Parks and Recreation will be removing the swing set beginning May 1st, so we'll be getting that site ready for the playground replacement. And beyond that, in Carabel Beach Park as well. They were supposed to have started yesterday,
Yep.
but the contractor did say for some reason the rain had delayed him. I don't know how the weekend rain,
I don't know if there was any
played
rain.
into
I
that,
didn't
but-
have any rain at my house yesterday, but
yeah.
anyway.
What we call scatter challenge.
Yeah, yeah. But they will be there this week sometime. So.
Okay,
Thank you, Aaron.
that's good. And Ms. Griffith, the other day when I was here and you were talking to them about the lighting, they would start installing it immediately, correct?
They are.
No.
That's their plan.
And just get all the other stuff done. That would be nice.
Sounds good. Anyone have anything for Ms. Griffin before we proceed somewhere else?
I do, but I'll get with you after the
Okay.
meeting.
Okay.
Okay.
Gotcha.
And Scott got with you, correct?
He did.
Okay.
Yep. Got that list.
All right. And I will say, so the public knows, so we had some communication with the Regional Planning Council. Mr. Ben Chandler was supposed to do a presentation today. They misunderstood that it was this month and not next month. So they will not be doing that presentation today. So we will now go on to, Mr. Morone, to your report.
Oh, actually, Michael, I just got a proposal from, I just got a proposal from Caleb, actually, for Vrooman Park, the drainage improvements with FERDAP. And I would like to get that approved. I know it's unscheduled, but it actually just hit my email. I can email it to you all.
What's the amount?
It is $9,850, and I will go ahead and send that to you all. It just came in. And it is actually for the design of the proposed drainage improvements for the southerly 2 baseball fields for Vrooman. And that's going to be doing the stormwater and grading improvements and actually developing the bid specifications. Because now that we are getting close enough where we're almost out of ball season, we can go ahead and get that going.
And Ms. Aaron, we've already voted on this before, correct?
Well, everything else relative to the project, it's just the Dewberry task order.
Right, but do we need to vote on it now? Is that what you're asking us to do?
You do, yes.
Okay, so I will call for public comment first, if that's okay. So we're looking at taking action today on a design and of the proposed drainage improvements at Vrooman Park
Yep.
for the two southerly baseball fields.
That's correct. Yep, and then
And
also
at-
the access ramp.
Right, at the price of $9,850.
Yep, correct.
Okay. Does anyone in the public wish to comment on this? This was not on our
Task
agenda.
order, yes.
Clear, that's for the task order, not the
Yeah,
project.
I'm sorry, for the
Yep.
task force for design.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Yep. Anyone wish to comment? This was not on our agenda, so I am calling for public comment. All right, sir, see if anyone by Zoom wishes to comment.
Anyone attending by Zoom, the chairman is calling for public comment. If you'd like to comment, please indicate that by raising your hand on your device. No hands raised, Mr. Chairman.
All right, so let's take care of the people's business. Pleasure of the board.
So move with comment.
All right, we have a motion to approve by Commissioner Ward,
Second.
second by Commissioner Sanders. Any discussion? Go ahead, Commissioner Ward.
I just want to say that this is one of the biggest issues we have at Vrooman Park. I'm getting calls, texts, messages constantly about it. It prevents them from going to practice, prevents them from playing. So we definitely need to get this done. And I'm actually glad it was just by the grace of God that it happened today, so we can go ahead and get it done and out of the way. So I'm real happy to hear that and get this project going for sure.
Any additional discussion?
Just to put that, what she said in context, I'm out there coaching the other
Yes.
day when we had that little light bit of rain. All the East Point teams had to come over here to play because of the field conditions. We were supposed to go over there.
Wow.
But just to give you an idea, so it's an issue.
Definitely needs to be
Yeah, it is
fixed.
an issue. And it's gotten worse over time, not better. Any additional discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's a 4-0 vote. Anything else, Ms. Griffin?
That's it.
All right, thank you. All right, Mr. Morone?
All right, Commissioners, first item of my report. Chairman Jones and Commissioner Ward have been asked to assist Ms. Sheila Chambers. Ms. Chambers lives in East Point, but she lost her home to fire, although it was not the East Point wildfire. The sheriff assisted Ms. Chambers with a replacement trailer. However, Ms. Chambers' property is in a flood zone, and it requires the replacement trailer to be placed on pylons. This requirement has added an unanticipated $15,000 to the project. Commissioners Jones and Ward would like the board to consider waiving the policy that restricted the wildfire donated funds for those survivors only and authorize a $3,000 payment to Ms. Chambers. Ms. Chambers has another funding source for the balance of the needed funds. Commissioner Jones and Commissioner Jones and Ward may have additional comments regarding this request.
Mr. Chairman,
Yep,
I mean, you got probably some comments, but this has been long going for her. She basically was living in an area that didn't require her house to be on pylons. Now her house burned down, and now she's needing a place, but now it needs to go on pylons because of all the Florida building codes that are required now. And, you know, all the people I feel like have been helped, that we can help with these monies, and she's requesting this, and I personally was put on my heart to help her because she's trying. She really is. She's been without a home for a long time now, and I just feel like this is the right thing to do. Chairman, if you want to add anything.
I completely concur. You know, she's replacing her mobile home with a mobile home, and it's a lot more expense to try to put a mobile home up on pylons. Everybody doesn't do that kind of work. So it's not like you can say, okay, well, they're wanting to charge me too much, so I'll go get somebody else to do it. There are not many people doing that kind of work that are licensed to do it. So if we can help her, I definitely would appreciate the board's consideration.
Motion to approve.
I'll say.
We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Sanders, second by Commissioner Amison. Any discussion?
Just thanks, everybody.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's a 4-0 vote. Thank you, Commissioners. Please proceed, sir.
Commissioners, I attached a copy of the GIS agreement with Appalachia Regional Planning Council. It was done in 2021. I believe they're asking for an increase from the $50 that they had back in 21 to $65 an hour. Staff supports this requested increase. The cap for each year is $10,000. They have, since 21, they've just reached that $10,000. It took them 3 years to reach that cap versus each year. They're doing a wonderful job. You know, the GIS helps staff. It helps the public as they get access to information. There's zoning layers. whole bunch of different layers on that. If you've never used it, you click on resources on the county's website, it's to the bottom, and away you go.
So none of this is changing that capped price?
No,
It's just
sir.
changing what?
Their hourly rate. As a matter of fact, in some of the meetings we've had when we've shared, that's what I've used. I've used the GIS, rather than the property appraisers map, I use the GIS map, the county GIS map.
That's what I use too.
Pleasure of the board.
So moved.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Amison,
Second.
second by Commissioner Ward. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous.
Item 3, Commissioners, Chairman Jones requested that staff look at options to redesign the county's logo. I blame the county's clerk for that because she did such a good job with her logo. It looks really nice. So we're trying to follow in suit. Based on research, staff is recommending that we engage Appalachia Regional Planning Council. They have a graphic design staff that can do this project, real inexpensive. If the board is agreeable, I'd ask that Attorney Schuler is authorized to review ARPC's agreement for this project and present it at a future meeting for approval.
Do we have, Mr. Chairman, do we have, are they gonna design it? We're gonna be able to give our input?
Yes,
Staff can be able to
yes.
give their input?
Yeah, so I'm going to bring back, they're gonna give us a couple of options that they're working with Courtney. I'll bring those back. You pick one and away we go.
All right.
And today, I'm not asking you to necessarily approve it, just authorize Attorney Schuler to work with ARPC to make sure the agreement is all right. We'll bring that back for approval also.
I'll make a motion, authorize Attorney Schuler to move forward.
Okay, we have a motion to authorize the attorney to review this contract with ARPC or this agreement by Commissioner Amison.
Second.
We have a second by Commissioner Ward. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous.
Item 4, the bottom of the page, Commissioners, also attached to my report is an email from Mr. Stephen Emanuel. He's a Big Bend Hospice representative. Mr. Emanuel contacted Commissioner Sanders and explained that Big Bend Hospice is seeking letters of support from the board as a whole and from any commissioner or any other elected official that would like to send one individually, expressing their work and reputation in the county. If any commissioner would like to send an individual letter of support, I have that address, and I didn't tag on here. I apologize. I meant to tag the Commissioner Sanders, may have more information because she talked to Mr. Stephan for quite some time.
I referred him to you.
Okay. But yeah, he was very, he spoke very well of you, Commissioner Sanders, when he said he talked to you.
Well, he called, I guess because I've used the services before.
Okay.
And as everybody knows, when you're in the end of life, we've just experienced some again, that those services are very much needed for the family and supports for the family. And I would make a motion, because I would like the county commission to send something, because what it is, you've got other companies coming in here trying to do the same thing, and you've already got, companies here. So just as something that is of a support, I would like to make a motion to support, to offer a support letter to Big Bend Hospice for the services that they do provide to the families of Franklin County.
Have a motion to approve this letter by Commissioner Sanders,
Second.
second by Commissioner Ward. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's a 4-0 vote.
Commissioners, if I may, Ms. Kim Bodine, we all know of Career Source. They're looking for a new office space in Apalachicola. I suggested, after we talked for a while, the old ship office that's located in Fort Coombs Armory as an option. I discussed this proposal with both Mr. Carrington and Mr. Fonda Davis, and they both support having someone in the armory on a regular basis. If the board supports this proposal, once again, Attorney Schuler will need authority to review the agreement, and this agreement will include rent. It'll be a steady income for the armory. It'll be a monthly rental amount, and presented at a future meeting for your approval.
Pleasure of the board.
So moved.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Amison,
Second. Oh,
second
sorry.
by two.
I got a question.
Go ahead.
So I'm all for this, Michael, but I just have a quick question. I know when the ship office was in there before it was closed and the armory was closed, do we have to be concerned with security? Is there going to be, I don't know, sensitive data or sensitive information in this office that we need to make sure that if people rent the building, they don't have
Yes.
access to it, or?
Yeah, so like just with CHIP, we also have,
Okay.
it's a locked office. Actually, I think in there's an office within the office that they used to keep the files in
Okay.
there. So I'll let Kim and her staff decide where they're going to keep their secure files.
Okay, that's all. I wanted to make sure that we didn't have anybody going in their office and getting time sensitive or
Yeah.
sensitive information, so, thank you.
If they would like, I'll recommend them put in a small security alarm system in there to, just to make sure.
Just for that one room. What you're talking about, the alarm for the one room?
Yeah, with just their office.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. All right, any additional discussion before we vote? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? That's unanimous.
Item 6, Commissioners, during your last budget workshop, the board included funds for a building inspector to assist Mr. Patterson, your county building official, with inspections and building code enforcement. We advertised for a part-time inspector, but did not receive any applications. Mr. Patterson contacted ECPI, Code Administrative Services representative, to discuss the possibility of utilizing their inspection services. ECPI, Code Administrative Services, assists local cities throughout Northwest Florida and a couple counties, I said municipalities, but I meant cities and counties, with enforcing state building codes. ECPI has worked for the city of Apalachicola, and I believe our own Miss Courtney Bankson, when she worked there, she worked well with ECPI, so she recommends them. And they served as a backup for your previous county building official in case he was out sick or something to that effect. Staff is interested in an agreement that would run from May 1st to September 30th. And then during this year's upcoming budget workshops, the board and staff could then discuss a more permanent agreement, or if you want to go in a different direction, we could discuss it then. If the board is willing to proceed with this 5-month agreement, Attorney Schuler, boy, I'm calling your name so much today, so you're working for your dollar, would need authorization to review an agreement that would be presented again for your approval at a future meeting.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
Who is ECPI?
I think they did some work in Carabel too. It's Bo, Courtney, help me. Bo Krill and his partner. They're the ones that,
That's that Bo guy?
yes. Well, okay, there are two Bo's. There was the Bo, the owner, and there was another gentleman that worked for them for a while, but they,
He's looking at me odd.
yeah, because there was a guy that got a bad reputation. I think he worked for them, he worked for Wakulla,
That's
and
the
then,
reason why I wanted
yeah, he's not,
clarity.
let me just say, he won't be the one. How about that?
That's the reason
If
why
that
I
helps
wanted
you.
clarity.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I got a question.
Yes.
So with this, Michael, the funding for this comes from the building department
Yes.
funds, so no extra budgeted
Not
amount
from
of
ad
money?
valorem tax money,
Okay.
no ma'am. From fee-based.
In addition to that, code enforcement, obviously I know you've got something next on your report about code enforcement. They're also gonna help with that as well?
With the building
Building
code
aspect
enforcement
of it?
side. So people working without permits, people working without contractor licenses, yes, or violating the state Florida's building code, yes, they will help with that also.
Okay, and, they're gonna be proactive or reactive, a little bit of both?
A little bit of both. Let's
Okay.
start off with just helping out with inspections to allow Steve to work on some of the complaints we're getting, and then, as time moves along, we'll let them
Yeah.
kind of loosen the rope a little bit and let them do some other things for
I
us.
know Steve definitely needs some help, so he's definitely overwhelmed, so I'll make a motion to approve this.
A motion to approve by Commissioner Ward,
Second.
second by Commissioner Sanders. Any further discussion?
This is like a trial and error with these guys.
Kinda, yeah. I saw Commissioner Sanders looking at me, so I know,
I
yes.
couldn't help it.
I know, we're good.
My memory has not left me.
That's for sure.
She knows both.
Yeah. Maybe it's the wrong bow though. Any additional discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? That is unanimous.
Thank you. Commissioners, item 7, as Commissioner Ward just stated. So Chairman Jones and I met with Sheriff Smith and his staff to discuss code enforcement. To summarize, Sheriff Smith is of the opinion that if the board adds stiffer penalties, that can be enforced by law enforcement, not a code enforcement officer, by law enforcement, along with a few other changes, especially to our travel trailer RV camper ordinance, and then create an ordinance that addresses junk and trash on private property, to be a comma, most of the county's code enforcement issues would be solved. Most, not all, but most. That's going along with the sheriff here. I realize that there are valid concerns regarding creating a bigger homeless problem in the county with enforcement of this ordinance, referring to the travel trailer RV camper ordinance. So a workshop is in order. We need to have an open public discussion here about dealing with this. During the workshop, the board can hear from the sheriff and his ideas and what he thinks, and discuss options that would allow for enforcement of the ordinance, but, this is me here, create an option for those with hardships. To me, the hardships, if it's done correctly, enforced fairly, would be a way to deal with possible, well, with not adding to the homeless problem. Let me just leave it there for now. So, Chairman Jones, as he attended and kind of led that meeting, he might have more comments regarding this. Today I'm having it up for discussion, short discussion, and hopefully you would authorize me or the attorney to schedule a workshop to discuss this further.
So I will say that, before we get started, that I'm good with having a workshop because I understand where the sheriff is coming from and what a lot of constituents have expressed to me and maybe to the rest of the commission as well. We already have some ordinances in the books. We need to find a way to start enforcing them. You know, without creating new ones, we need to enforce what we have. They're already there. So the sheriff, and we had a pretty lengthy discussion, the sheriff was of a mind that, you know, our current, let's just for say the travel trailer ordinance, he wasn't interested, and he expressed this several times, in helping us enforce an ordinance that was gonna be dealing with the same issue again next week. That he said that he didn't think the penalty was stiff enough to cause a reaction. So that's something maybe we can discuss at this workshop. I will say, I'm also of a mind, I'm good with this workshop, but after this workshop, I want us to have code enforcement. You know, this is, for me, I'm done having workshops about it. People are, I think, believing that we're never gonna do it. We're just gonna workshop it to death. So, you know, I do want to move forward with it. I understand what he's saying with abundant trash on a property. Now, it's one thing to have something on your property, but abundant trash, and that can be handled by this board with mandatory trash pickup. But that's just me. But I am good with having this workshop. I think there's some things we can work through. The sheriff acted like he was agreeable to help us enforce our ordinances where it would fall under law enforcement. And he did see the potential for it to go the right way by having somebody that's wearing a badge knocking on the door and saying, look, you're in violation here. And what we did discuss, and we discussed it more at the workshop, was the county continued to do the administration through our concerns portal. And basically the sheriff, you know, our deputy who will be doing it today, here's the list of the complaints we got, and these are the ones to go after. So anyway, and I'm sure there would be some over time proactive as well. They're not gonna be reactive, but that's some of the things we discussed, because we talked for close to an hour about this. I just want the board to be aware of that. If you guys are good with that workshop, I'm definitely good with it. We need to have a venue where we can discuss with the sheriff and kind of all get us going in the same direction, and then have on an agenda so we can take action on it.
Mr. Chairman, I'll approve this workshop with the comment.
Go ahead.
So I concur completely with the chairman. Code enforcement has been my passion since I became on this board, because it is an issue. I get complaints all the time. I know the rest of the commissioners do as well. But I agree with, we don't need to workshop it to death. We've already had workshops. We know what the people want. Let's get it done. In addition to that, I do realize we do have a lot of ordinances on the books that are good. We just need to enforce them. The problem is, we start enforcing these ordinances back from 1982 or whatever year, we're gonna get a lot of kickback, because people have been doing these things and getting away with them for so long. We're gonna look like bad guys, but this definitely needs to be done. We've gotta get a handle on it. Otherwise, it's gonna continue to get out of hand, in my opinion. So I'll make a motion to approve this workshop.
And we have a motion to approve by Commissioner Ward,
I'll second it.
second by Commissioner Amison. Any discussion?
Just one thing, I would say that I agree, we need to have a workshop, and I also agree that we need to look at the ordinance that we already have on the book to take care of that, and not making any new ones if we don't have to. This has been an ongoing problem, and if you do it based like we have the other, departments that we have complaints coming from, if you do it to where somebody has to file a complaint, and their name is on there, so, I mean, you're gonna,
It will be.
yeah, it's gonna be, and it's gonna be a lot better to take care of it that way, because because somebody's got a couple of pots or something in the front yard or something, you know, I'm talking about pots. It's not gonna be, you know, that bad if they have to sign their name to complain about the pots or the junk cars or whatever. So, you know, that has deterred a lot of people from complaining now when you're playing in zones and stuff. So, we'll just see how it goes, and I'm all in favor of a workshop.
Right, in discussion,
I've got a lot of discussion, but I'm
okay,
saving for the workshop.
when would be the next available time we could have a workshop? So that needs to be added to
Do
the
the
motion,
second
right?
meeting in May?
Yeah, when we're actually gonna have it? That would be needed to add in the motion, correct?
If you'd like, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I think it'd be more prudent.
May 18th at 1:30.
Okay,
Okay, I'll amend my motion to reflect the date of the workshop.
No, May 16th.
16.
May 16th at 1:30.
All right. And just to catch me up, did we have a second to the motion yet?
I said,
Yes.
Okay, I couldn't remember, sorry. And you said you have questions now, you have
No,
questions for
I
the
said I'll
workshop?
save it for that workshop.
All right, it's all good. All right, any other discussion before we vote? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? That's unanimous.
And to update the board, actually, the Triumph meeting, I reported the last meeting was on the 21st. It's actually tomorrow, the 19th. Again, if you have anything you would like discussed, feel free to reach out to myself or Aaron before tomorrow. The chairman, myself, Aaron, and representatives from both cities will be attending this meeting with Triumph staff. And we're trying to find a way to get some money from Triumph. That's,
Mr. Chairman, I've got tons of ideas, but it's whether or not they approve for the
Yeah.
funding or not.
And we'll
That's
take
the
all the
problem.
ideas to them.
Yep.
We're good. I'm good with
I
it.
mean,
yeah, stick.
That's why we're going, I'm sorry, I wasn't trying to interrupt you. That's why we're going with not just us, but both mayors and city staff are gonna be there as well. Because this county needs some of those Triumph dollars. It does, so that's what we're trying to do.
Commissioner Emerson, I'll let you deal with item 9, the airport meeting from yesterday. I think it was a good meeting. You did a good job handling that meeting.
I
I know
didn't do
Mr. Kirschenbaum was here earlier, but
Well, I didn't do anything. I spoke for about 5 seconds and dipped. But anyway, we got a good collective group of people there. I'm pretty excited to see what happens with that. Outside of that, also, we in the meeting, we had the airport manager, of course, and we had Tara from Centric was there. We assured Tara that we really want to move forward with their company and whatnot. I know we're behind on that lease agreement, and we're working on it. But outside of that, it was I think it's going to be good things coming from that. I got a good feel for it. We got like I said, a collective group of good minds there. So we'll see what happens.
Good.
item 10, Commissioner Ward. Commissioner Ward was contacted, Commissioner Sanders is laughing too, by the Senior Citizen Center Incorporated. Okay, the board that runs the big senior center in Carabel. They have requested a meeting and would like to sit down with Commissioner Ward to discuss possibly housing, well, by housing I mean using the big senior center as a congregate site, especially, for the seniors that were displaced from when they closed the Garden Center building in Carabel. We are going to meet Thursday, April 20th, about 1:30, I believe, Commissioner, that's correct? And I will update the board on the outcome of that meeting.
yeah, that's, I'm just gonna kind of reserve my comments, but let's just say, they want a meeting, which we requested way back in January, and they sent us a
a nice letter that stated that there was nothing they could do, so we pulled their funding. It's funny what happens when you pull funding and they decide they want to meet with you, and there was miscommunication, that was not their intent. So I told them I'd meet with them. I think Mr. Morone and I both will be there, so we will come back with an update from that, so.
Okay. As another update, the sheriff is looking for a vehicle for, speaking of seniors, for ECCC to provide the seniors, especially the ones in Carabel, where they can take them to shop or run errands or different things. He's let me know there's a couple of options we're looking at, and he'll let us know, you know, as soon as he's able to get that done. And your next, well, you have a 1:30 workshop this afternoon, and then your next meeting will be on Tuesday, May 2nd at 9 a.m. And that ends my report.
But, Michael, before we go on and get ready to do these public hearings, so in this workshop, one of the reasons I really wanted to do this workshop, in talking to the sheriff, and also I have a meeting coming up next week with Department of Health to try to partner together to make sure we're addressing some of the issues we're seeing, especially with houses that are holding more people than they have space for with their septic system. You know, there are a lot of needs here with code enforcement. We're not just trying to create something just to be, we're government and we're coming to tell you how to do it. There has to be some kind of level playing field, and we're the only ones that are able to do that. So that's the only reason we're talking about that kind of stuff. Because at the end of the day, you know, everything needs to be considered and be equal. Listen, we're trying to be stewards not only of where we live, but where you live. And that's a big task. So that's what we're trying to take on. I just want the public to know that. I want to say that before we proceed.
Okay. And I would ask, Attorney Schuler, how many action items do you have?
Just one.
Just one? I would recommend to the board, you take Attorney Schuler's action item now,
Yep.
we take a break, and then we start the public hearing.
That'd be fine.
That'll conclude the meeting for the morning.
First, does anyone have anything else for Mr. Morone?
I was trying to get past
I know.
We always have stuff for Mr. Morone, but we sometimes can wait till after the meeting.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Erin is whispering to me in her own way.
I did miss doing the budget transfer for the library fund in your check run for today. So if you all could please approve the issuance of a manual check to do the library budget transfer. And that's a check actually from the general fund to the library fund for $259,398.
And what's that for, Aaron?
It's the library fund's budget transfer.
Okay, okay.
Yep,
Oh.
it's for their annual
Also,
budget.
annual
like what we
budget.
do for our
Yes.
So we're
constitutional accounting
We're issuing
department.
a manual check is what
Yes.
we're,
Correct, correct.
all right.
My apologies, I did not mean to miss that one.
Pleasure of the board.
Do we need to call public comment or anything?
Yep, we'll do public comment first. Anyone want to comment on this before we potentially take action doing a budget transfer from county funds to county funds? Just different accounts.
Yeah.
Different accounts. It doesn't matter where the money
That's what
lies.
it is, yes, sir.
Just wasn't part of your run.
That's fine. Anybody on Zoom, sir?
Anyone on Zoom would like to comment on this, please indicate so by raising your hand. No hands raised, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, pleasure of the board.
So move.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Ward, second by Commissioner Amison, for the ability to run the manual check to do this transfer. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? That's unanimous. Thank you, Commissioners. Attorney Schuler?
The only action item on my report, other than the public hearing at 10 o'clock, is a request for the board to authorize me to conduct a public hearing for the board to consider adopting regulations for e-bikes on our beaches and on our bike paths and our multi-use paths and our sidewalks. Because the legislature, we have an existing ordinance that very clearly does not authorize motorized vehicles on those locations. However, the legislature has defined an e-bike as not being a motor vehicle, and I don't want to rely on the remaining provision of your current ordinance that says or otherwise powered vehicle, because it just creates confusion if someone gets the ticket and they challenge it and you go to court. I want to make sure we have certainty in the outcome, and if we, the board elects to adopt the regulations I'm going to propose for your consideration that would provide certainty of enforcement. So, but all I'm asking for this morning is authorization to conduct a public hearing.
Also move with comment.
Okay, motion to approve by Commissioner Ward,
Second.
second by Commissioner Sanders. Commissioner Ward, please proceed.
I've talked to you in the past about e-bikes over on Carabel Beach, McKissack Beach, and I had the same concern. If they go issue a ticket, they can fight it in court because it is considered a motorized or non-motorized vehicle. The question is, at this public hearing, if we could add, I know that McKissack Beach is being leased by the city of Carabel they lease that land from the state. So is this including all beaches, including Carabel Alligator Point, or is that the intent?
My intention was to include all public beaches and to exclude private beaches.
Okay.
Ordinarily, we don't regulate matters within the municipalities, but we have done it in the past. For example, your animal control ordinance is countywide and includes the 2 municipalities. So I would say at least let the city of Carabel know, make them aware, and I'll make an official contact with their city attorney in writing. But I don't think they'll have any objection. But unless they pass an ordinance that contradicts our county ordinance, then our county ordinance would be effective within the municipal boundaries.
Yeah, I have spoke to the mayor of Carabel about this before. So you and I can get together after the meeting, and I can tell you the content of that discussion. But I'll go ahead and, we haven't had a motion on this. Yeah, we did. We did a motion. Okay. Thank you.
All right, any other discussion before we vote? Thank you, Attorney Schuler, for bringing this back so quickly.
Yes, sir. And my intention, just so the board knows, under your new policy, public hearings and workshops occur at your second meeting of the month. So my intention is to bring this back to you at the second meeting in May.
Yeah.
At 10 o'clock.
All right. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? That's unanimous. All right. Is that it, Attorney Schuler?
Yes,
for your
sir.
action items? I know we haven't had any communication since then, but I still would like to have some more communication with you and see what we can do about bringing back to this board about a business registration and or a short-term vacation rental registration in the county.
Yes.
I think that would help us with some of the code enforcement issues we're having.
Yes.
Just as a reminder. Anyone else have anything for Attorney Schuler? All right, let's take a recess for about 5 to 7 minutes, and we'll come back and start our first public hearing.
Love the movie Sister Act? You're going to love Nonsense, the Mega Musical, presented by the Panhandle Players April 21st through the 23rd at the Chapman Theater in Apalachicola. Join this hilarious cast of nuns with their physical side-splitting comedy and one-liners that are guaranteed to lift your spirits and have you laughing, singing, dancing, and shouting, Amen. Get your tickets online at panhandleplayers.org. Nonsense, the Mega Musical. We promise it's habit-forming.
Managing diabetes can be challenging, but getting help is easy with health education at no cost to you. Ascension Sacred Heart Gulf provides Living Well with Diabetes classes. Attend a class to gain insights into how to eat healthy, get active, manage medications, check blood sugar, and control stress. For the class schedule, location, and more information, call 850-229-5620 or visit ascension.org/Gulf Diabetes Education. This message is sponsored by the Health Hub of Gulf and Franklin Counties. Embrace the pace on Florida's Forgotten Coast.
Hi, I'm Kara Landis. I'm a professional realtor in love with St. George Island. When my husband and I and our dogs moved here in 2002, it was the beginning of an adventure that has never grown old in a community that is amazing. If you're thinking about moving to St. George Island or investing in our world-class real estate, then this community will be as important to you as the sand and surf.
Well, Kara to me is much more than an agent. She's become a friend, and since we bought the house, we've needed work done, and she knows everybody there is that can help us with that.
One of the key elements for the historical growth and value of St. George Island real estate is the fact that it's a great place to vacation and to live. The beauty of the Gulf of Mexico with its white sand beaches and blue sky has always been a magnet for me. It was love at first sight. As your realtor, I can help educate you on the various aspects of buying and owning coastal properties. From taxes to coastal setback lines to where to find the best oysters, it's all part of being your realtor.
Too often our friends tell us of it being a hardship to buy a house, and the agent was gone as soon as the closing. We've had quite the opposite experience with Kara.
If you're looking to buy or sell real estate on St. George Island, I'd love to work with you. Please call or text me at 850-653-7753.
If you're looking for something a little different to do with a family on your vacation, check out the Appalach Ghost Tour. Adults and kids will get first-hand experience with real ghost hunting equipment. You'll also hear local ghost stories and area legends. Tours are conducted year-round. Get tickets online at AppalachGhostTour.com.
We would like to welcome you to Florida's Forgotten Coast. We hope you enjoy your stay here in Franklin County. We'd like to take this opportunity to remind you of some of our safety guidelines for our beautiful beaches.
Here on the Forgotten Coast, we love pets. Please observe our leash laws on the beaches and on other public places.
When visiting Franklin County beaches, please be aware of beach flags and surf conditions. For the most recent information on these conditions and more, please download the Forgotten Coast mobile app.
It is very important to us here in Franklin County that we make all our beaches accessible to everyone. We have placed mobile masts at different assets throughout the county. We plan to add more the coming year.
Franklin County has some of the most beautiful beaches in Florida. Let's keep it that way. Remember to remove all your trash before you leave and leave only footprints.
We welcome you to enjoy our beaches. But at the end of the day, please remember to remove all your beach gear before 9 p.m. Remember, May through October, we have other visitors here, the sea turtles. So we need to keep our lights off at night on the beaches as well.
Your safety is important to us, so please remember when visiting our beautiful beaches, you're swimming at your own risk as we do not have lifeguards on duty.
We hope you enjoy your stay here, but please remember, no glass bottles on our beaches.
When visiting our area, please park in designated parking places only. Don't park in the county right-of-way or on private property without permission.
Go to floridasforgottencoast.com/beach safety for a complete list of county and beach ordinances and safety rules.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for visiting Florida's Forgotten Coast. Help us keep our beaches as beautiful as they are today for future visitors and residents.
Franklin County Commission is now back in session. We're moving now to our public hearings. We're a couple minutes late, but legally we could not start early. We can always start after. So the first one is, well, Attorney Schuler, I turn it over to you, sir.
All right, Commissioners, good morning. This is a public hearing for the board to consider the request of Mr. Jimmy Mosconis for the board to consider his application to abandon 0.15 of an acre of land at the end of Bluff Road, Bay City Road. There is an existing building and a survey that's been attached to the petition. It shows the 0.15 acres in question and a portion of the footprint of the building, which is within the terminus of that footprint of 0.15 acres. If you look at the survey, and I have, this road end, according to the survey, does not terminate at the water's edge. The board's public policy is you don't abandon water access on road ends. We've dealt with that, maybe not necessarily in the recent past, but Commissioner Sanders.
I remember.
I think one of the last ones we had was down Alligator Point years ago, and that was the reason the board would not even entertain the application. My understanding of the facts is that there is private property between the terminus of the road and the water, but Mr. Mosconis's attorney and representative, Ms. Christy Banks, is here, and I'm sure she'll walk you through the petition, but I just wanted the board to know that I reviewed the application for conformity with the statute to make sure that you are in a procedural position to move forward with the hearing, and you are. It's been duly advertised according to the statutory requirements, and the application does not appear to violate the board's policy of not abandoning road ends that terminate and provide water access to the public. So unless the board has any questions for me, I will turn up the matter over to Mr. Mosconis' attorney.
Commissioner, do you have any questions of Attorney Schuler? All right.
Okay.
Ms. Banks.
Thank you. My name is Christy Branch Banks. I am representing Jimmy Mosconis in this petition, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you today. If I may approach, I just have some extra copies of photos. I have one for each of the commissioners, one for the minutes, one for council, and I do have extra copies, several extra copies for the members of the public. If anyone is interested, Ms. Bankston has been providing copies of all of these photos as well, so they are available to the public.
Ms. Banks, is this the same photos we have in our board packet, or is this some different photos?
These are some additional photos to supplement. They're photos actually of the property. So if you will, and I'll try to be to the point.
Yes.
On the first page, Mr. Schuler, I assert, is correct. You can see the highlight of the property that consists of Bay City Lodge. Incidentally, Mr. Mosconis acquired this property in 1974. And in 1974, there was a building, some of us recall fondly, actually, there was a building that was ground level there that was a restaurant. You'd walk into the restaurant. There was a check-in office for the hotel, a restroom, restaurant to the left. It's been there for as long as I can remember. And he acquired it in 1974. And at the time that he acquired it, the contract, the real estate transaction deed that was recorded is really interesting because it refers to 14 dining tables, 45 dining chairs, 40 assorted pots and pans, et cetera, et cetera. So that building was sitting in the same footprint as where the building is sitting now that is indicated on the survey. So you can see this is the building, and you can see where the roadway, the right-of-way for the road ends, and the pavement actually ends before you get to where the building is located, and that's what these supplemental pictures in the package will evidence for you. And then you can see from this point here, actually from this point, this survey line is 671 feet. From the point that is equivalent to the building, there's another 671 feet at the longest point line that is Mr. Mosconis's property. So this property, clearly this roadway ends nowhere near a water access. This is a creek that comes onto the property, and then he owns all of this acreage, and this of course is the Apalachicola River. So there's no public access, no public connection on that existing roadway. And then if you will, flipping through the package, apologize, I'm not very artistic, so it's crude, but I've numbered the pictures as a point of reference where each of them are located. And then you can see on the survey point, this is where the paved roadway ends. This is where the pavers begin, and this is the building in question. Now, this is a new building. Mr. Mosconis, in 2012, constructed a new building on the exact footprint of where the former building was located when he acquired the property in '74. And then if you just look through these pictures, the point of beginning for the 0.15 acre that he's asking the county to abandon, this first point reference here is actually behind this dead end sign. So when you get to the point of the road where you see the dead end, just beyond that and behind that is the survey marker for the portion that he's asking the county to abandon. If you flip over to the second picture, that's just standing in the middle of the road. You can see that where the paved road ends and the private property for Mr. Mosconis begins. The next picture is just a little further over to the north or to the left. You see this pole here is roughly the line from this pole to where the dead end sign is. And then you'll see on further pages you see this dark spot on the pavement. There's a survey marker on that pavement. That's where the proposal is to draw the line. And then you can see that survey marker on the next page, and you can see if you look across to where the dead end, if you look across to the dead end road sign, to the left of that, just behind someone's parked car, is a survey marker. So you can see that survey marker, and hopefully this evidences to you that it's a very small portion of the actual paved road that is being petitioned or requested or sought to be abandoned. And then just to show you his property improvements where the paved road ends, you can see those cones there that are marking. I believe that's in the area of the portion of right-of-way where the right-of-way would end. And then that's when you park, you come onto his private property and you're going into his building. This building is now a gift shop, bait and tackle, and so on. You can see on page 7, this is private property. That that fuel station has been there for many, many years. Those boat shed covers, those items have all been there for many, many years. This is not an area where any erosion has occurred to lessen his private property. And then if you go back, and I've sort of made these around the premises, picture 10, you can see where the roadway ends and his private pavers begin, and you can imagine that this area of space that is between this point and this point is a very small portion of paved road at the very end of Bay City Lodge. So Mr. Mosconis is asking the county to abandon this portion so that, and what that will do for him is allow with the footprint of the building that has been at that point, at least since he acquired the property in 1974, it's currently encroaching into the right-of-way. If the county would kindly grant his request and abandon this portion, then that will eliminate the fact that that is actually an encroachment onto right-of-way. There's precedence for the county has taken action similar in the past, specifically on a property very nearby, formerly referred to as Breakaway Lodge, and statutory authority for the county is quite broad. It is fully within the county's discretion to grant this request. We ask that you do so, and if you have any questions, I would be happy to answer them as well Mr. Mosconis would be.
Any questions, commissioners? Anyone have any questions of Ms. Banks or Mr. Mosconis? All right. Thank you, Ms. Banks.
Thank you.
So now we'll call for public comment. Is anyone in the room that would like to comment on this publicly? This is a public hearing. This is your time to speak about this. Yes, for anyone at all. Okay, Mr. Rowland, see if anybody by Zoom would like to speak.
Ricky, let me say, this ties back to 1951 when that road right-of-way was dedicated. It goes back to 70-something years ago. That's what started all of this. I just want to point it out to you all.
Yep. Mr. Rowland, anybody by Zoom?
Anyone attending by Zoom that would like to speak on this at this public hearing, please do so by raising your hand, indicating so by raising your hands. can tell, sir, no hands raised.
Okay. All right. I guess now we're to board discussion, correct, Turnsk?
Yes, sir.
All right, commissioners, anything you want to discuss about this? Or what is the pleasure of the board?
I make a motion that we abandon it.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the abandoning of this portion of the end of Bay City Road by Commissioner Amison.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Sanders. Any discussion before we vote?
We have done this, Mr. Chairman, we have done this a few times
Yep.
in the past, and it's just nothing but an error.
Okay. Well, I do like that Attorney Schuler made it a point to help us understand, and it's true, it's not blocking any access to the waterway to the public. It is not. So that was one of my first questions when I started trying to research it, you know, because the public has a right to water access. So there actually is, over adjacent to it and to the road that goes to the left, there is a boat ramp down there, I think. Yeah.
And that's private.
Yeah, that's where it's at, isn't it? Yeah. All right, any further discussion?
Just for clarification, so the public understands what we're doing here. This is basically, if you pull up on the Bay City Road, and I'm gonna make this quick, you right now as it stands, you can pull up to where his vehicle and the photos were parked legally. And then that's as far as you're traveling towards the water, because once you get to the back of that building, you've got 20+ foot right there of Mr. Mosconis's property again. So this piece of property, or this area that we're abandoning, does not do anything for the public. That's just for clarity, because I have spoken to some people, and you know, on previous meetings we were talking about encroachment into the county property. This encroachment was done when I believe when Florida DOT had the road, and this is something that was a clerical error that's been passed forward, and this is just going to clean things up. So just for any of the opposition out there that didn't, you know, needs to know where we stand or where I stand, that's where it's at.
Any more discussion before we vote? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous. All right. Up next, we're having another public hearing, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. Will that be you or Ms. Courtney? Ms. Courtney? Ms. Bankson? Please proceed.
Thank y'all, commissioners. It's been a while since I've been in this room, and I'm looking at Ms. Sanders, and she was here when I was here, and she hadn't aged any. That's what's amazing. She hadn't aged any. She looks the same, just like she did. But thank y'all very much.
Mr. Jimmy. Was you going to say something?
Sorry, let me share the screen.
All right, Ms. Bankston, please proceed with our next public hearing.
All right. All right, so there is just a little typo. This is supposed to be range 6 east instead of 6 west. But the first zoning change that we have is an ordinance for a 0.15 acre parcel of land in section 29, township 9 south, range 6 east, from C2 commercial business district to C4 commercial mixed use residential. This is where it's located. And I'll show you the zoning map. This is what's around it. They're just trying to fall in line with these over here. This is part of their property as well, and they're just trying to get this zone to match the current zoning of that piece of property.
Mrs. Bankson, can I interrupt for 1 second? Are you using the GIS
Yes.
map I was referring to this
Yes.
morning? That's what I'm talking about, Commissioner. That's what ARPC is going to improve
Yes.
upon that they've already done for us. Just to draw reference, I'm sorry.
So the property is immediately to the right of that. Is that C4 property?
Yes, over here is C4.
Mhm.
This is C4, and then this is blue piece right here is C2, and that's what he's trying to get changed to C4.
Okay. All right. Is there anyone here to speak about that, or you don't have to, but it's your time if you want to, sir.
Anybody has any questions?
Yes, sir. Does anyone have any questions
Hey, so you sit
for
back
Mr.
there.
Thomas? All right. I think we're good. Sorry, Mr. Thomas.
That's okay. Thank you.
Public comment. Does anyone wish to comment publicly on this matter before we potentially take action? Public comment. This is your time. It is a public hearing. All right. Mr. Will, would you see if anybody on Zoom wants to comment publicly on this potential rezoning of .15 plus or minus of an acre from C2 to C4?
The chairman has asked for public comment from anyone attending by Zoom for this particular item. If you would like to comment, please do so by raising your hands on your smart device. No hands raised, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Commissioners, it's back to us. Any discussion about this?
I just have a quick clarification question. The verbiage where it says South Range West, that should be South Range 6 East. Is that, if we approve this, do we have to come back and revisit that since it was advertised as that verbiage?
Commissioner, you could take that position. I don't think that it's really necessary in this case. I mean, there was sufficient, I believe, advertisement. And, has anyone inquired of this? Did anyone come to the board? I'm sorry, not to the board, to the planning office and inquire?
No, just right before we had the public hearing, someone brought it to my attention that it should say one of the, say east instead of west.
Okay. Well, Mr. Chairman, if I may have the
Yes.
floor for a moment.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes, sir.
You come up, please. Do you understand the issue?
Yes.
The issue is, potentially someone could challenge this because of an argument that it is not properly noticed because of the scrivener's error in the advertisement. I don't necessarily subscribe to that, but it's more your risk than the county's risk. So what do you want the county to do? Move forward or reschedule and re-advertise and come back?
Because in the ordinance, I can correct it, right? Schuler?
We've corrected on the record, yes,
Yes.
but it was not, it was advertised as 6 West and not Range 6 East. That's the issue that Commissioner Ward is bringing up.
Let me check, hold on.
At least that's what I'm understanding from your statement.
Yes, that's what was brought to my attention. I'm looking at the report now, just to make sure.
Yeah, pull up what was advertised, Ms. Banks.
Can you look at the advertisement?
I've looked at the advertisement, it says the same thing. That was.
You have
that-
looked?
Yeah,
It
because
says Range West, and I'm gonna look at the property appraisal site because that's where I got the information from for this. And it has it as 6 West, so what I've got on the
Okay.
zoning change is correct with what matches on the property appraisal site.
Okay.
and then what was advertised is the same as well.
Yes.
We were
Okay.
wrong when we thought we had a.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure of that because I didn't want to delay him. I didn't want to delay us in any way or cause any issues legality-wise. That was my concern.
Can y'all see that on I got the property appraisal site pulled up here. I don't know how to zoom in. Am I gonna
Ms.
have to zoom
Banks,
in?
are you saying it was advertised correctly, it's just on our
Yes.
report wrong?
No, actually, it was all correct. Are you ready to zoom?
So you were thinking it was east, but it's actually on west now.
It
We've
is
got it pulled
west.
up on the
Yeah,
property
I decided
appraiser's
to pull it up
website.
on the property appraiser's
Okay.
site to
Okay.
She
just
was
to
mistaken
verify.
about being
I got you.
mistaken.
Okay.
And it says,
We're just trying to make sure it's right, sir.
I appreciate that. I appreciate I would say whatever y'all think is best. I mean, we've been here
We're just trying to make sure it's right.
yes.
Yeah, it is
So
west.
it is
Okay.
west, so it says 29, 9 south, 6
Thank you.
west, so it is correct.
Okay.
It was advertised correctly.
Any additional discussion, Commissioner? I will say, since this is in my district, I understand the desire to change this, especially when those around it are not that. I still say that at some point, very soon, this board needs to address potentially other things on residential property that we currently don't require, like parking, drainage, because we're working on a drainage project that is hopefully going to be done as soon as this season's over with on the island, starting October, November. That's about over $4 million project for drainage from third to third, but that's a snapshot in time. That does not include any new development. So I just want to make the board aware of that. So if I bring it up, that's why I'm bringing it up. Because currently we don't require residential properties to have any kind of stormwater plan. So, you know, and I know that this is potentially gonna be C4, which allows for both, but the county's stance historically has been, if you're building something that is a house, then it doesn't require stormwater. If they were putting a business, it would. So, yes, sir.
I don't know if this makes any difference with y'all, again, because we believe in full transparency, but if it makes a difference, I mean, we are residential builders.
Yes.
We intend to do residential, but we've also listened to the board. I know Mr. Amison has brought this up several times. Our intent will be to reduce density. So, I mean, we're going to be back requesting the variance on the side setbacks.
Right.
But we fully intend to reduce density, because I feel like we agree with that as our company in that area, because we do deal with runoff and storm, but I think that a lot of that's mitigated when you reduce the density. So we're not building 6 houses there. You know, we're going to be in the 3 to 4 range, which I think is in good faith with the idea of reducing density and trying to, you know, be a good steward, good company. But just, I don't know if that makes a difference to y'all. That's our intent.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas. We appreciate it. All right, so did we have a motion on this yet at all? Okay, I just couldn't remember. Sorry, a lot of discussion. So it's the way it is when you try to remember what you're actually going to say. So what is the pleasure of the board? We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Amison.
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Ward. Any discussion, Commissioners? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous. All right, please proceed, Ms. Bankston.
Thank you. The next one I have on here, sorry, is a rezoning for a 0.53 acre parcel of land in section 31, township 8 south, range 6 west, from C1 commercial fishing district to C3 commercial recreational district. Here is the zoning map. And I also have it pulled up on QPublic to make sure that it does match, and it does. And Mr. Siska is on the line in case you had any questions for him.
Okay. Well, regardless of questions, now would be his time to present anything, correct, if he's wishing to speak?
Yes, sir.
He
It's
is on the
completely
line.
up to him, but it is his time.
That's right there. Okay, allowed to talk.
Hello, are you able to hear me?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, commissioners, for taking the time to review and consider this zoning change. I apologize that I cannot be present in person. I'm dealing with an emergency and had to leave town, but I would be happy to answer any questions that may arise. I've owned this property for close to 9 years and have struggled to find any use in the current C1 designation. I've not had anyone approach me or any businesses or vendors requesting to utilize this parcel at its current designation. Over the years, I called and been called by Franklin County Sheriff's Department countless times for vagrants setting fires on the lot, setting up living camps, loitering, littering. I'd just be really interested in finding use for this property, and would love to entertain any questions that you all may have.
Anyone have any questions for Mr. Siska, correct? Sorry. Reading glasses are great for up close, but they don't really work when you start looking out at a distance. Anyone have any questions? So I will say, I know we're not talking about your commercial site plan today, but I will say, Mr. Siska, that it is my hope, and I'm not asking you to respond, but it's my hope as the commissioner of the district, if the board wants to move forward with this today, that we're not looking at just regular RV sites. I know C3 does allow for that, but I don't think that'd be consistent with what's been going on in East Point so far. So I just want to put that out there. I know we're not talking about a site plan today. We've not even approved a zoning change. So, you know, it's just something I wanted to communicate with you.
I appreciate that. The intent is not for RV sites.
That's fine. Anyone else have any questions for Mr. Siska or comments? All right. Thank you, sir. This time we'll call for public comment. Anyone in the room wish to discuss this matter at all? All right. Is anyone on Zoom?
Anyone attending via Zoom would like to comment on this, please do so by raising your hand on your device. No hands raised except for Mr. Siska.
Okay, seeing none, commissioners, it's back to us. Do you have anything you would like to discuss about this potential zoning change?
Mr. Chairman, I just got a quick question. To my knowledge, I don't know how further down, is this something that's happened in the past where we changed a C3, or I'm sorry, a C1 to a C3 further down the road?
We have. The last time we did it was for Mr. Howard and Miss Susan Reeder. They were talking about tearing down the old Fred's Best Seafood, and they put some park models on their lot, is what they wound up doing. But yes, we did. I think we also did for her sister. I think her sister's having issues though with the amount of money she's got to pay to get water and sewer hooked up to it. But we have changed it, and I will say, Commissioner Ward, to try to hopefully answer the intent of the question that you have. I know there's a lot of C1 property in East Point, and I know that when the bay comes back, there needs to be somewhere for commercial seafood to take place. But as Mr. Siska stated, he's owned this property now for close to a decade, and he's not in the commercial seafood business. So, I mean, I'm not saying it all needs to change. I do think we need to continue to do it case by case. I don't think at all, in my mind, that we're setting any kind of precedent. Others might disagree with that, but I think it should be case by case and where it's at and what they're, you know, what they're trying to do. It'd be different if you have somebody that buys it tomorrow and says, you know, it's, you know, but he's owned it for a while now.
Thank you.
Not a problem. Any other discussion, commissioners? All right, what is the pleasure of the board? To change this from C1 to C3.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion to approve by Commissioner Ward. Do we have a second? Okay, we have a second by Commissioner Amison. Any discussion before we vote? Seeing no discussion, all in favor? Aye. All opposed?
I oppose.
It's a 3-1 vote. It passes. Anything else, Ms. Bankston?
That's all I've got.
That concludes all the public hearings, correct?
Yes, sir.
And we finished all the rest of the stuff? Wow, Commissioner comments? This is good. This is a good switch. 6 hours at a time is a long time.
It's record
It is.
time.
Well, good. Let's not make it any longer. Meeting adjourned.